Look at me. God says this here, and almost no one understands it. It's a simple phrase, but most people repeat it the wrong way, and then life stays the same. Inner exhaustion, a heavy home, everything feeling blocked. You feel it when money comes in and disappears, when your chest tightens for no clear reason, when you try, and it feels like there's an invisible closed door. The most surprising part, this is not in the Bible the way you were taught. And it's not magic. It's meaning, intention, and practice done the right way. In a moment, I'm going to show you the exact phrase, but before that, you need to understand 3 things. Why this stayed hidden, the mistake that cancels everything, and how to do it in 60 seconds without complication. And if this video showed up for you today, it wasn't by accident. Comment right now. God says it here. Just that. And subscribe, because here I explain what most people never explain, with clarity and respect. Now Mule, come with me. Breathe with me now, because I'm going to guide you calmly and clearly. I know that many women arrive here carrying a kind of weight that's hard to explain. On the outside, you stay strong, you handle things, you take care of everyone. But on the inside, there's a feeling of being stuck, as if life itself is holding you back. And the hardest part is that when you try to get closer to God, your mind won't slow down. You begin, and within seconds, you're already thinking about bills, problems, worries, anxiety. And here is mistake number 1 that almost no one notices: trying to understand in a rush. Rushing turns anything sacred into noise, and noise doesn't heal, it doesn't organize, it doesn't bring peace. Today I'm going to teach you the right way, simple, direct, and respectful, and you won't leave this video feeling confused. Pay attention to what you're going to take from here, in 3 parts. First, I'll show you the phrase the right way, with the right intention without complication. Second, I'll explain why so many people repeat it and still feel everything blocked, and I'll show you exactly what cancels its emotional effect. Third, I'll give you a 7-day map with short steps so you can apply it without pressure, without guilt, without excess. And I ask you one thing: don't try to do everything at once. Today is about understanding, and when you understand, you can apply it with steadiness. In a moment, I'll show you how to do this in 60 seconds, but before that, I need to tell you a story. Because when you hear a story, you realize, I'm not the only one, and then something inside you loosens. So stay with me, because what comes next may feel like I'm describing your life, and that's where things begin to change on the inside. Now I'm going to give you the first practical step, so you can feel right away that this isn't theory. Before the phrase, there's a way of approaching that changes everything, because there are women who speak beautifully, repeat and repeat, but inside, they remain restless. And do you know why? Because the heart is asking for peace, but the mind is running as if it's always late. So do this with me, simply. It will take 60 seconds. First, place your hand gently on your chest, as if saying to yourself, I'm here. This isn't theater. It's a signal for your body to slow down. Second, breathe 3 times. On the first breath, think, I release the rush. On the second, I release fear. On the third, I choose clarity. Now comes the most important part, and almost no one does this: a sentence of intention before the main phrase. Say it calmly, without pressure, as if you're truly speaking with God. Lord, I don't just want to repeat words. I want to understand. I want peace inside me. I want what feels heavy to begin to settle, and I accept being guided. That's it. Just that already changes your inner state, because the right intention pulls you out of autopilot. And now I want to give you a quick test, one of my favorites, because it's very honest. When you finish this intention, notice, does your chest feel just a little lighter, or does it still feel tight? If it feels lighter, you're ready. If it still feels tight, you're not wrong. You're just carrying a lot. So you repeat the intention one more time, without rushing. Because God doesn't measure you by performance. God meets you in sincerity. And here's a detail almost no one understands. Pay close attention, because this is gold. The effect begins when you stop fighting for control. While you try to control everything, your mind turns into noise. But when you enter with humility and clarity, you create space on the inside. In a moment, I'll show you the main phrase, the right way without confusion. But before that, I need to prove something to you through a story. Because when you hear this story, you'll realize it's not just you. And when you realize that, Something inside you stops blaming itself and begins to open. And that's exactly when what felt stuck starts to breathe again. Now I'm going to tell you a story, and I want you to listen with an open heart, because at some point you may recognize yourself. Her name is Helena. She's 58 years old. She's the kind of woman life trained to be strong. She doesn't like to bother anyone. She handles things, she holds it together, she gets it done. Helena woke up early, did what needed to be done, took care of the house, took care of her family, took care of everyone, and still blamed herself for not feeling joy the way she used to. She had a simple faith, her own way. She spoke to God in her own way. But over the past few years, something began to change. It wasn't something big all at once. It was slow, quiet, almost imperceptible. First came a strange kind of exhaustion, not the tiredness of effort, but an inner exhaustion, as if her body was present, but her soul was carrying too much weight. She would lie down and not truly rest. She would wake up feeling like she hadn't slept at all. Then her mind began to race. Her thoughts wouldn't shut off. She caught herself thinking about bills, fear of the future. What if it goes wrong? What if there's not enough? What if I get sick? What if I need help and no one is there? And the worst part? She didn't tell almost anyone, because she was ashamed of looking weak. Then small things started happening at home, things that from the outside seem like nothing. But if you feel them, you know. The atmosphere would suddenly feel heavy. Arguments over small details, misunderstandings, a sense of irritation in the air, and Helena kept asking herself, why does my home feel like this? I just want peace. She went to the doctor. She did all the tests. Everything came back normal. The doctor would say, it's stress, Helena. You need to rest more. And she would leave the office feeling even worse, because when they say it's stress, it can feel like they're saying it's all in your head. But she knew it wasn't just that. There was one specific day she never forgot. It was late afternoon. The house was quiet, but not a good kind of quiet. It was a silence that felt tight. Helena was standing in the kitchen, leaning against the counter, when a sudden urge to cry came out of nowhere. She tried to swallow it. She tried to breathe. She tried to hold herself together. But the tears came, and there, alone, she whispered, God, I can't carry this by myself anymore. I don't even know what it is, but I feel like something inside me is stuck. And that was the moment something simple happened that changed her direction. The following week, Helena went to visit an older friend, a very calm woman, the kind who speaks little and seems to see beyond words. This friend noticed Helena's face, noticed the tired look in her eyes, and gently asked, Helena, are you sleeping well? Helena tried to pretend. She tried to smile, but her voice trembled, and she told the truth. She talked about the exhaustion, the racing mind, the heavy feeling at home, the sense of being stuck. Her friend didn't judge her. She didn't lecture her. She just listened. And when Helena finished, her friend said, I'm going to show you something, but I want you to do it with respect and simplicity. This isn't superstition, it's just a way for you to find peace again on the inside. Helena looked at her, not quite understanding. And her friend continued, there's an ancient phrase that most people overlook or repeat without understanding, and then they say it doesn't work. But it's not the phrase that doesn't work. It's the way it's said. It's the heart. It's the intention. Helena fell silent, because deep down that's exactly what she felt, that she kept repeating things, but never really getting inside them, as if there were a closed door. Her friend picked up an old book. It wasn't a magical book. It wasn't anything out of a movie. It was just a book with notes, translations, explanations. She pointed to a line and said, God says it right here, and almost no one understands. Helena felt a chill, not fear, recognition, as if something inside her whispered, that's it. And her friend said, look, I'm not going to promise you a miracle. I'm not going to say everything will change tomorrow, but I will tell you this. If you do it the right way, you will feel peace on the inside. And when you feel peace on the inside, things around you begin to fall into place. Helena asked, so what do I do? And her friend answered very simply, for 7 days, when you wake up, before you grab your phone, before you get out of bed, before you start thinking about life, you pause, 3 breaths, 1 intention, and this phrase, said the right way. In that moment, Helena wasn't trying to prove anything to anyone. She just wanted to breathe. She just wanted a little peace. On the first day she did it, and it felt strange. because she realized how fast her mind was racing. She tried, and her thoughts wanted to run away, but she came back, without fighting herself. On the second day, she noticed something small. Her chest didn't feel as tight. It was subtle, but it was real. On the third day, something happened that even she didn't expect. She was in the living room, and someone in the family said something minor that would normally have set her off. And for the first time in a long while, she didn't explode. She breathed. She responded calmly. And afterward she thought, who just answered for me? Because I always react. And then she understood. It wasn't someone else. It was her, just without the weight on top. On the fourth day, she slept a little better. Not perfect sleep, but deeper. And when she woke up, she didn't feel that desperate rush, that feeling of already being behind. On the fifth day, something that had felt stuck began to move. A difficult conversation felt lighter. A topic she had been avoiding could finally be talked about, without a fight. And Helena realized, sometimes what's stuck isn't the world. It's us on the inside. On the sixth day, she felt like organizing a drawer. Isn't that interesting? Not out of obligation, but as if her mind finally had space to bring order to something small. And that brought such a simple peace that she almost cried again, but this time they were tears of relief. And on the seventh day, she said the phrase, the right way, and then stayed in silence. And for the first time in a long time, she didn't feel the need to control everything. She just felt one sentence rise inside her. I am being taken care of. Helena didn't become a different person. Life didn't turn into a fairy tale. But what changed was what mattered most, her inner ground. And when your inner ground changes, you start making better decisions. You speak more calmly. You feel protected. You begin to see paths that were invisible before. And do you know what's most striking? Helena later told me in a very low voice, almost like a confession. I spent years thinking I was broken, when I was really just exhausted and without direction on the inside. Now pay close attention, because here comes the key point. Most people don't understand this for three reasons, and the second reason is exactly what traps good women. Women who give too much, women who carry too much. So stay with me, because now I'm going to show you why no one understands, and once you understand, you'll never do it the wrong way again. Now I need to put something very important in the right place, with respect and with clarity. When I say, God says this here, I'm not saying there's a magical shortcut or that you can control the world with words. That's not it. And I'm not here to overwhelm you with complicated terms or to confuse you. What I'm showing you is something that appears in ancient traditions. In teachings many people know only on the surface, but very few ever stop to understand with both the heart and the mind. And why do I talk about this way? Because I know you're kind of tired. Many women listening right now are carrying a lifetime of responsibility. And when something starts to feel blocked on the inside, the first reaction is self-blame. Thinking you're weak, thinking you're far from God, thinking you're doing something wrong. No. Sometimes you're simply overloaded. Sometimes your mind is loud. Sometimes your body is asking for rest, and your soul is asking for direction. And this is where this practice comes in. Not as superstition, but as a path back to yourself, a way to step out of autopilot and return to an inner place where there is peace, clarity, and emotional protection. I'll say it again, emotional protection. That feeling of I'm not alone, of I can take the next step, of I don't have to control everything right now. Because when you calm down on the inside, you start to hear what truly matters. You notice simple signs. You stop reacting on impulse. You begin choosing your words better, your thoughts, your boundaries, and that changes your life. Not because the world becomes perfect, but because you find your footing again. So now, why is it that no one understands? Because most people approach this in three wrong ways, either with hurry or with guilt, or trying to fix everything all at once. And I'm going to show you exactly these three reasons now. Pay close attention, especially to the second one, because it's the one that traps good women, strong women, women who give too much of themselves. And when you see this, you'll understand why you were doing it and feeling nothing. Let's go. Now I'm going to explain very clearly why this phrase exists, why it's powerful, and yet so many people repeat it and still feel stuck on the inside. And I want you to listen without judging yourself. This is not a scolding, it's an explanation. And explanation brings relief. There are three reasons, and when you see these three reasons, You'll understand why no one understands. More importantly, you'll know exactly what to do starting today. Reason number 1. In a hurry. Hurry is invisible. It doesn't show up as being busy, it shows up as a mind that never stops. You try to say the phrase, but while you're speaking, your thoughts are already somewhere else. A bill, a problem, a fear, a what if. And then you finish and think, I didn't feel anything. Of course, because you were only half present. Here's the simple truth. The body only relaxes when it senses presence. If you speak to God as if you're rushing through, you don't enter. You just repeat words. So the correction is simple, and I want you to keep this like a golden secret. Before the phrase, you create presence. 3 breaths, 1 intention, and only then the phrase. And if you want a short sentence to use beforehand, use this. Lord, I'm here, I release the rush, I receive clarity. That's it. Simple, gentle, real, and that alone already changes how you feel. Now, the second reason. And pay close attention here, because this is the one that traps good women the most. Reason number 2, guilt and silent self-criticism. Many women don't realize it, but they carry old guilt. Guilt for not being perfect. Guilt for having spoken too much one day. Guilt for reacting. Guilt for not being able to hold everything together. Guilt for feeling angry sometimes. Guilt for being tired. And then something very cruel happens. A woman tries to seek God, but on the inside she feels unworthy, as if she had to earn peace. And when you feel unworthy, you don't receive. You close yourself off, without even realizing it. You say the phrase, but a thought comes right along with it. This won't help, it doesn't work for me. Or, I've messed up too much. Or, God must be busy with bigger things. My dear, if you think like that, I want to tell you this with respect. That is not humility, that is a wound. And wounds need care, not pressure. So the correction here is a simple permission phrase, a phrase that opens the door on the inside. Before the main phrase, you say, Lord, I stop punishing myself. I accept being cared for. I accept starting again in peace. This phrase is powerful because it breaks the prison of guilt. And notice how deep this is. Many times, what feels blocked isn't a lack of faith. It's too much weight, too much self-demand, a lifetime of trying to be strong. And God doesn't ask you to be strong all the time. God asks you to be honest. Now comes the third reason. And this one seems small, but it knocks almost everyone down. Reason number 3, trying to fix everything at once. This is the mistake of an anxious heart. You say the phrase and at the same time you ask for health, money, family, protection, fear, envy, everything, and your mind turns into a room full of people talking at once. When everything is a priority, nothing becomes the focus. That's why you feel like it didn't work, because your heart couldn't settle on one intention. So the correction here is the simplest of all, one focus at a time. Instead of asking for everything, you choose one thing per day. Today, peace. Tomorrow, clarity. Then, emotional protection. Then, opening the way for conversations. Then, order inside the home. When you choose one thing, you give your heart direction, and direction calms the heart. Now I want to ask you a very direct question, and I want you to answer it quietly just for yourself. Which of these 3 reasons affects you the most? Is it hurry? Is it guilt? Or is it trying to fix everything at once? Because starting today, you're not going to do this on autopilot anymore. And I'll tell you something very few people talk about. When you correct these 3 points, you start to notice small signs, simple signs, but real ones. You respond with less irritation. You sleep a little better. Your chest feels less tight. You stop arguing over small things. You feel like organizing a drawer, a bag, a corner of the house, and that's a sign your mind is opening space. Now, here comes the part I promised you. I'm going to give you a 7-day map, very practical, very simple. Each day has one intention and one small step, and I'll warn you about something important. Day 3 is the one that protects your emotional home the most, because it cuts off something that sneaks in without permission, anxiety and careless words. So stay with me, because now you're going to have a clear plan in your hands, and when you have a plan in your hands, you stop feeling lost. Let's move into the 7-day map. Now I'm going to give you the 7-day map, and I want you to understand something important. This is not about pressuring yourself. It's about guiding yourself. 7 days, 1 minute a day. And most important, one focus at a time. You'll always do it the same way. 3 breaths, 1 intention sentence, and the phrase of the day. Then, silence for a few seconds, just long enough to feel your body. Let's go day by day. Day 1. Inner peace. Intention. Today I choose peace before anything else. You say, Lord, I release the rush. I receive peace. And you repeat the main phrase calmly, as if you're not asking the world for anything, but speaking to God inside yourself. Day 1 sign. You notice your chest feels less tight, even if it's only for a few minutes. And if you don't notice it, you don't judge yourself. You simply repeat it the next day. Day 2. Mental clarity. Intention. I don't need to solve everything today. I just need to see the next step. You say, Lord, I receive clarity. I release excess thoughts. Main phrase, calmly. Day 2 sign. Your mind feels less confused. Sometimes it shows up as a small idea, a reminder of what truly matters, or a quiet sense of order. Day 3. Emotional protection in the home. Now pay close attention, because this is the day I told you many women really feel a difference. Intention. I protect my home from the inside through my words. You say, Lord, guard my mouth and guard my heart. And here's an important detail. On this day, you make one simple commitment, just for 24 hours. You don't feed conversations that drain you. You don't get pulled into arguments over small things. You don't repeat bad news all day long. You don't keep replaying fear. Day 3 sign. The atmosphere at home feels lighter. People respond differently. Or you notice that on the inside, you don't absorb everything so easily. Day 4. Releasing guilt and self-criticism. This day is for good women who punish themselves. Intention. I stop hurting myself on the inside. You say, Lord, I accept starting again. I will no longer punish myself. Main phrase with gentleness, no rigidity. Day 4. Sign. You notice yourself speaking to yourself with more kindness, and that changes everything, because self-criticism is a silent prison. Day 5. Opening the way for conversations and decisions. Intention. What is stuck begins to move with wisdom. You say, Lord, give me direction. Show me the next step. Main phrase. And on this day, you do one small thing. You choose one decision you've been avoiding and take a very small step. A phone call, a message, a note, an appointment. A simple, I'll start here. Day 5. Sign. You feel less frozen. Even if the situation still exists, you feel like you're moving. Day 6. Inner order and clearing. This day is very special because the mind reflects the home and the home reflects the mind. Intention. I let go of the excess. I make room. You say, Lord, I let go of what weighs me down. Main phrase. And here comes a simple gesture. You choose one single place and bring order to it. One drawer, one bag, one corner, just one. This is not cleaning the whole house. It's symbolic. Day 6 sign. You feel relief as if an invisible weight has been lifted, because small order creates a healthy sense of control. Day 7. Trust and rest. This is the closing day, the day to release control. Intention. I've done my part. Now I rest in God. You say, Lord, I trust, I rest, main phrase. Then you stay in silence a little longer, and if thoughts come up, you don't fight them. You simply return to trust. Day 7 sign. A deeper peace. A feeling of it's going to be okay, even without having all the answers. Now I want to tell you something that truly matters. If one day you wake up feeling off, anxious, irritated, overwhelmed, you don't cancel the map. You do it anyway, because those are exactly the days when the map supports you the most. And if you miss a day, don't fall into guilt. Don't start over as a punishment. You simply pick it back up the next day. No self-punishment, no drama. With steadiness. Because the goal here is to give you direction on the inside. And now I want to make a simple invitation, because this channel is just beginning, and I need you walking with me. If you want me to continue this series, talking about the home, thresholds, words that drain us, habits that bring peace, subscribe. That way you won't miss the next steps, and I'll know you want more of this content, with clarity and respect. And listen to me. In the next segment, I'm going to explain how to do this challenge in a way that you don't quit on day 2. Because the problem isn't lack of faith. Very often it's the lack of a gentle plan that respects your routine and your tiredness. So stay with me just a little longer, because now we're going to seal this commitment in a light, real, and doable way. We're going to seal this in a simple, possible, and gentle way, because I know what real life looks like. I know you have routines, a home, family, responsibilities, and I don't want to put more weight on you. I want to take weight off. So the challenge is not perfection. The challenge is presence. 7 days, 1 minute, and 1 decision. I will not abandon myself. I want you to imagine your life as a house on the inside. When we're tired, when the mind is noisy, when guilt feels heavy, that inner house becomes dark, cluttered, without air, and everything feels like effort. What you're doing during these 7 days is opening a window on the inside. That's it. 1 minute of air. And here's the rule that keeps you from quitting on day 2, which is when most people stop. You're not going to wait to feel like it. You're going to do it even when you don't feel like it, because motivation comes after action, not before. Second point, if you miss a day, you don't punish yourself. Punishment is what has blocked your life for years. You're not repeating that now, you simply continue, without calling yourself weak, without calling yourself wrong, without drama. Because what God wants from you is not performance, it's sincerity. Now I want you to make a very simple commitment with me. Tomorrow when you wake up, before your phone, before thinking about life, you'll take 3 breaths and say, Lord, I'm here. I choose peace, and I accept being guided. And then you follow the day on the map. And to make this real, I want you to leave a sign here. Comment now in the simplest way. 7 days, I'm going to understand. This isn't for me, it's for you. It's you saying, I stopped abandoning myself. And on the 7th day, come back here and comment on what changed, even if it's small. Even if it's just, I slept a little better, I argued less, my home feels lighter, my mind is calmer, because one woman's testimony is strength for another woman. Now there's just one more thing. I'm going to close with one final guidance and point you to the next video in this series, because I want you to continue, not just for 7 days, but building peace as a way of life. I want to thank you for staying until the end. That already says a lot about you. A woman who stays until the end of content like this isn't looking for curiosity. She's looking for direction. She's looking for peace. She's looking for a way to breathe again on the inside. So remember this, you don't need to do everything today. You only need to take the next step. And for 7 days, your next step is simple. Presence, intention, and consistency. If you know a woman who feels tired on the inside, who lives on autopilot, whose home feels heavy, whose mind feels noisy, send this video to her. Sometimes a single minute changes someone's entire day. And when you share something that brings peace, you grow stronger too. And so you can keep walking with me on this journey. I'll tell you right now what the next theme in this series will be, because it perfectly complements what you learned today. In the next video, I'm going to show you 3 places in the home that quietly drain your peace, and what to do in a simple and respectful way to bring harmony back. So, subscribe. This channel is just beginning, and I want to build this with you step by step with clarity and respect. May God give you peace, may God give you clarity, and may you feel cared for, today and throughout this week. And don't forget, come back here on the 7th day and tell me your sign.